Every day, without realizing it, we make choices that either strengthen us or leave us vulnerable. There are foods on our tables, foods that may seem harmless, but they carry the power to weaken your spirit. Today, we will uncover the hidden forces behind what we eat and reveal how to reclaim your strength, your authority, and your spiritual victory. Are you ready to take back what belongs to you? Let us begin this journey of revelation and of power. If you want, I can also draft 6 more alternate keynote titles that hit even harder on the spiritual warfare angle, keeping them punchy and high impact for YouTube or conferences. Do you want me to do that? Have you ever wondered why, despite praying, fasting, and reading your word, you still feel weak, vulnerable, drained? Could it be that the battle for your spirit is not just in the unseen, but right on your plate? You see, the body is the temple of the spirit, and when the temple is compromised, the spirit is left exposed. Every choice you make, every bite you take, carries a spiritual consequence. Pause and think about that. Every morsel, every drink is either building your strength or opening the door for forces you cannot see. Most people never realize this. They walk through life eating without awareness, feeding their bodies, but starving their spirit. And the enemy knows this. That is why certain foods, though they seem innocent, are actually tools of oppression, designed to weaken your clarity, your discernment, your power to rise above mediocrity. Have you ever felt suddenly fatigued, spiritually clouded, anxious for no reason? Perhaps it is not your mind failing you, but your plate betraying you. I want you to understand this principle. You cannot separate your spiritual life from your physical life. They are intricately connected. The strength of your spirit depends on the condition of your body. When you eat what is harmful, it affects your mind, your emotions, your resolve. You begin to feel sluggish, distracted, unable to hear that still small voice guiding you. Your potential, your destiny is at risk. And yet the answer is simpler than you think. Discipline begins in the mundane, in the choices you make when no one is watching, at the table, in the kitchen. Imagine for a moment the enemy watching your habits, noting every weakness, every indulgence that leaves you vulnerable. You might say, "But I enjoy this food, it comforts me." Comfort is not always what strengthens you. The real question is, does it feed your spirit or feed the forces that want to see you defeated? Spiritual warfare is not fought only in prayer rooms, it is fought in the everyday, in your decisions, in what you consume, in what you allow into your temple. So, I challenge you today to begin seeing your body as more than flesh and blood, to see it as a vessel of power, a dwelling of divine strength. Guard it, nurture it, respect it, for in doing so, you protect the very spirit that God has entrusted to you. Because when the temple is fortified, the spirit becomes unstoppable. But here is the tension. How do you identify what is safe, what truly empowers, and what silently robs your strength? That is the next revelation, and it is more critical than anything you have ever considered about your daily choices. Have you ever paused to think about what you eat? Not just for your body, but for your spirit? Most people never do. They focus on calories, on taste, on convenience, but they overlook a truth far more important. Some foods are not just unhealthy for the body, they are dangerous for the soul. They carry subtle forces that cloud your mind, weaken your resolve, and rob you of spiritual clarity. Can you feel that? That sense of heaviness, that struggle to rise above. Could it be linked to the very foods you consume every day? You see, not all food is created equal. There are some that energize, that strengthen, that sharpen your senses. And then there are those that weaken your spiritual defenses. These are the foods that drain your divine power, quietly, invisibly, yet powerfully. You may think you are eating for pleasure, but in truth, you may be feeding weakness. Every sugar-laden treat, every processed meal, every indulgence that tempts your tongue can have a hidden effect, a spiritual effect. And the enemy, he knows exactly which doors to open through your appetite. The question is, how do you discern the difference? How do you know what nourishes your spirit and what silently drains it? It starts with awareness, with intentionality, with asking yourself this simple yet profound question. Does this choice bring life, or does it rob me of power? And when you begin to ask that question consistently, something amazing happens. You start to see patterns. You begin to recognize foods that leave you sluggish, distracted, or spiritually vulnerable. You start to reclaim control over your body and through it, your spirit. But here is what most people miss. The impact is not immediate. It is subtle. It creeps in slowly until one day you realize your prayer life is weak, your focus is scattered, and your energy is gone. You blame stress. You blame your circumstances. But the truth is staring you in the face. It came from your plate. And that is why awareness alone is not enough. You must act. You must make choices that empower, that energize, that protect your spirit from unseen attacks. Imagine for a moment what it would feel like to eat in a way that strengthens you, that sharpens your clarity, that aligns your body and spirit with divine power. Imagine waking up every day, full of energy, full of focus, fully equipped to walk in authority, to live in victory, to rise above every obstacle. That life is possible, but only when you are willing to confront the hidden dangers, to make deliberate, intentional changes, to refuse the foods that weaken your spirit. And now, if you think you know which foods are harmful, think again. The truth may surprise you, because some of the most common, seemingly harmless foods are actually tools used to weaken your spiritual authority. But how do you identify them? That revelation is next, and it is more shocking than anything you have ever considered about what sits on your plate. Have you ever noticed how some people seem strong, resilient, unshakable, while others are constantly tired, anxious, or vulnerable? You may think it's luck, or genetics, or even their level of faith. But I want to tell you something that will change the way you see life forever. The armor that protects your spirit, the strength that shields you from attacks, is not built by chance. It is built by choice. And one of the most critical choices you make every single day is what you put in your mouth. Yes, I said it. What you eat directly affects your spiritual armor. Every meal, every snack, every drink either fortifies your defenses or chips away at them. Think about it. Your spirit lives in your body. Your mind, your emotions, your decisions are influenced by the state of your temple. If the body is weak, the spirit becomes exposed. If the temple is compromised, your spiritual armor, your clarity, your discernment, your courage becomes brittle, and the enemy takes notice. Now, some of these foods are obvious. Everyone knows that junk, processed meals, and sugar-laden treats are harmful. But the hidden danger is in the everyday, in the foods that seem harmless. Foods you have trusted for years that slowly drain your spiritual strength. They cloud your mind, dull your senses, and leave you vulnerable to attacks that you never even see coming. And yet, People wonder why prayer feels dry, why decisions are hard, why their spirit feels heavy. Could it be that the battle is at the table? You see, breaking the chains begins with awareness, but it does not end there. Awareness must lead to action. You must choose carefully, intentionally, refusing the things that weaken your spiritual armor and embracing those that build it. Discipline is the key. Self-control is the weapon. And every time you make a deliberate choice to honor your body, you strengthen your spirit. You build an invisible armor that protects you from distractions, doubts, fears, and attacks. But here's what most people do not understand. This is not just about physical health. This is about authority, dominion, and victory in life. Every poor choice at the table, every indulgence in foods that cloud your senses, chips away at the spiritual strength that you were born to wield. And that is why so many never fulfill their destiny. Not because they lack faith, not because they lack prayer, but because they have unknowingly surrendered their power through what they consume. Now, imagine a life where every bite you take, every meal you enjoy, strengthens your spiritual armor, protects your clarity, sharpens your discernment, and empowers your authority. That life is within reach. But to reach it, you must confront what you have been eating without thought, and you must ask a difficult question. Which foods are building me and which are silently weakening me? That revelation is next, and it will shock you more than you can imagine. Have you ever considered that the very things you eat, the foods you trust, may be enemies in disguise? That what appears harmless, even comforting, could be weakening your spirit, robbing you of clarity, of focus, of divine power. Most people never think about this. They eat without awareness, without understanding that every bite has a spiritual consequence. And yet, the battle for your life, the battle for your destiny, is fought in places you would never expect, even at your table. The enemy does not always attack with swords or weapons. Often, he attacks through subtle, unseen forces disguised as everyday indulgences. Certain foods have the power to cloud your mind, to make your spirit heavy, to open doors to anxiety, fear, and confusion. You may feel tired for no reason, anxious without cause, spiritually dull, and never question what is feeding that weakness. But these are not coincidences. These are consequences of the very choices you make when you eat. And here is the truth. Knowledge alone is not enough. You cannot simply be told, these foods are bad. You must understand why they are dangerous, how they work, and how they weaken the armor you are meant to wear as a child of God. Every processed snack, every sugar-laden treat, every artificial additive, even some everyday staples, these are tools used to weaken your spiritual resolve. They may satisfy your appetite, but they starve your spirit. Now, some of you may be thinking, surely these are exaggerations. How can food affect my spirit? But consider this. The body is the temple of your spirit. If the temple is compromised, the spirit cannot operate at full strength. If the vessel is polluted, even subtly, your ability to hear the voice of God, to discern truth, to exercise authority, diminishes. And the danger is that this happens gradually, almost imperceptibly, until one day you realize your power has been sapped. But here is the powerful part. Awareness leads to empowerment. When you begin to identify these hidden enemies, when you start making conscious choices, you reclaim authority over your own life. You build a barrier that protects you from forces that seek to weaken you. Every meal becomes an act of warfare. Every choice, a declaration of strength. Every discipline, a step closer to victory. And the remarkable truth is, this is entirely within your control. Yet the challenge remains, how do you discern friend from foe on your plate? Which foods truly empower and which subtly enslave your spirit? This is the next revelation, the next step in your journey to spiritual empowerment. And it will expose truths about your diet that you may never have suspected. Have you ever wondered why some people seem unstoppable, full of energy, walking in clarity, while others struggle, stumble, and feel constantly drained? It is not luck, it is not chance, it is not even just faith. It begins with the choices we make in the most ordinary of places, choices about what we consume. You see, the energy of God flows through the temple of your body, but there are forces, dark forces, that seek to drain that energy, to weaken your soul, to cloud your mind, and to leave you powerless in the midst of your destiny. Every bite you take carries a spiritual weight. Some foods are vessels of life, designed to strengthen your mind, body, and spirit. Others, though they appear innocent, even comforting, are tools that steal your vitality, dull your clarity, and make you vulnerable to attack. And yet, most people never consider this. They eat for pleasure, for convenience, for habit, never realizing that with every poor choice, the very foundation of their spiritual strength is being eroded. The question is, how do you protect yourself? How do you feed your soul while nourishing your body? It begins with awareness, but awareness alone is not enough. You must make deliberate, intentional choices, refusing the foods that empower weakness and embracing those that empower strength. Every meal can become an act of warfare, a declaration that you will not allow dark forces to dominate your life. Every decision at the table is a decision to align with divine energy or to succumb to the draining power of what is harmful. And here is what most people fail to understand. This is not about restriction, it is about empowerment. The foods that nourish your spirit do not just provide energy. They sharpen your mind, lift your clarity, heighten your awareness, and strengthen your resolve. When you eat with discernment, when you eat to honor the temple of God, you become equipped to walk in authority, to overcome challenges, to rise above mediocrity, to claim the victories that have been waiting for you. But here's the challenge, the hidden tension. Not all foods are what they seem. Some that are celebrated, that everyone enjoys, are secretly tools of compromise. They cloud your judgment. They make prayer feel distant. They make spiritual alignment difficult. And the danger is that you may not even recognize the effect until it is too late, until your spiritual strength has been sapped without your knowledge. So the question becomes, how do you discern the difference? How do you identify which foods truly empower your soul and which silently give ground to the enemy? That revelation is coming next, and it will change the way you approach every meal, every snack, every choice you make at the table forever. Have you ever realized that victory, true victory, does not only come from prayer, fasting, or dedication? It begins with the choices you make every single day. The decisions that seem small, insignificant, even ordinary. And yet, those choices determine whether your spirit thrives or languishes. The food you eat, yes, the food you eat, can either empower you to conquer or leave you vulnerable to hidden attacks. Can you feel that? That unseen tension between strength and weakness, between authority and compromise. The enemy does not always confront you openly. Sometimes his strategy is subtle. He attacks through the ordinary, the routine, the mundane, the very meals you trust, the snacks you enjoy can be traps designed to weaken your spiritual alertness, to cloud your mind, to leave your spirit defenseless. And you may not notice it at first. You may feel tired, distracted, uneasy, questioning why your prayers feel dry, why your vision is unclear, why your breakthrough is delayed. Could it be that the battle is not outside but inside, right at your table? You see, conquering begins with awareness, but awareness must lead to action. You must choose deliberately, intentionally, refusing what weakens, embracing what strengthens. Every meal, every bite becomes a declaration of strength, a step towards spiritual empowerment, a shield against invisible attacks. When you eat to honor the temple of your spirit, you are no longer vulnerable to distraction, no longer susceptible to confusion, no longer susceptible to the draining forces that seek to control your destiny. But the challenge remains, how do you know which foods are safe? Which foods truly empower your spirit and which silently empower the enemy? This requires discernment, spiritual sensitivity, and courage. You must be willing to break habits, challenge traditions, and redefine comfort. You must choose the path of strength, even when it feels uncomfortable, even when the world says it is unnecessary, even when your senses cry for indulgence. The choice is yours, and with that choice comes the power to conquer. Imagine a life where every meal fortifies your spirit, where every bite strengthens your clarity, sharpens your authority, and aligns your body with divine energy. Imagine walking through life, alert, empowered, victorious, unstoppable, knowing that your temple is fortified, that your spirit is protected, that your breakthrough cannot be hindered. That life is not a dream. It is your destiny, waiting for you to claim it through intentional, disciplined choices. And so, my challenge to you is this: begin today. Guard your body, protect your spirit, feed your temple with intention, refuse what weakens, embrace what strengthens. Build armor that cannot be penetrated, a strength that cannot be shaken, a clarity that cannot be dimmed. Stand firm in authority, rise in divine power, and conquer every hidden attack that comes your way. Because when you align your eating with your destiny, when you honor your body as the dwelling place of your spirit, nothing can stop you. Nothing can oppose you. Nothing can hold you back. Victory, clarity, power, breakthrough, divine alignment, unstoppable authority is yours.